it do, folks? It is your boy Charles Younger here, coming to you with Maryland Terrapins live at the Voice of College Football. Like I said, I am your host, Charles Younger. You can follow me across all social media platforms at Charles Younger. That's CharlesNYonga. And for some of the best coverage in college football, please go to www.vocfb.com. That is the voice of collegefootball.com, where you can find some of the best coverage: Big Ten, SEC, Pac 12. Is it still 12? Who knows? Big 12, mid majors, and so on and so on. The voice of college football is where you should go for your college information. Today's show, we're going to talk about a few things. We're going to talk about Maryland recruiting and how the fact that the recruiting class is one of the top reasons that Coach Loxley is still employed by the University of Maryland. We're going to go up north and talk about what's going on up there in Michigan. That might be 2 segments. And also, we're going to talk a little bit about NIL and pay or play, how that also affects the fact that these certain players are staying in locally, they're making some money off their name, likeness, image, and likeness. Because everyone else for centuries was making money off of college football, except the actual people who performed the duties. So glad to see that they are getting compensated for their work, even though sometimes some people might think it's the wrong way, but we'll go more into that later on. So first thing is first, and we have to talk about Sherrone Moore, the disgraced head coach at the University of Michigan, who was fired on Wednesday. And according to the Associated Press, as of today, I'm going to read a little bit of the snippet of the Associated Press article by Larry Lage. This was released at 12:58 p.m. on December 12th. We're going to go here with the lead here. In Ann Arbor, Michigan, Sherrone Moore, who was abruptly fired this week as Michigan football coach, was charged Friday with 3 crimes, including home invasion, stalking a person he dated, prosecutors said. Moore spent 2 nights in jail following his firing and subsequent arrest on Wednesday, and the 39-year-old coach, who had led the Wolverines for 2 seasons, was fired for what the school called an inappropriate relationship with a staff member. Hours later, police arrested Moore after he was accused of assault in Pittsfield Township, a community near Ann Arbor. Moore is accused of unlawfully entering the dwelling of a victim who Mr. Moore had a dating relationship, the Washington County Prosecutor's Office said. Defense attorney Joe Simons had no comment before Moore's initial court appearance. And Michigan has not disclosed details of the alleged relationship, but said an investigation found credible evidence against Moore, who is married with 3 young daughters. Athletic director Wade Manuel said the behavior was clear violation of university policy. Moore signed a 5-year contract with a base annual salary of $5.5 million. According to the terms of his deal, the university will not have to buy out the remaining of his many years of his contract because his fire was for cause. This story is something that would fit well in my wife's true crime podcast rotation, because married man, 3 kids, having an affair with a university staffer. Allegedly, the stories was that the staffer was pregnant, had an abortion, and then Sherrone Moore went straight crazy and was like threatening to kill himself and this staffer who he had a relationship with. There is something going on up there in Ann Arbor. As I said, I was reading before I was doing prep for the show. I was writing down some notes of what would happen, but obviously the news broke right as I was going live and changed what my format was going to be. But he was in hell. He used to say like 48 to 72 hours is how long someone gets held before our charges are filed. But you don't want to make too long because that raises scrutiny of these charges. But they came down hard this afternoon at 12 when it comes to Sherrone Moore and his issues. The man had 3 kids with his wife. I'm not sure. he was out sin cast the first stone. I'm not going to shame him for those things. People live different lives. You don't know what the relationship was, but the fact that he was going to break into this woman's house, the victim's house, threaten to kill her and himself, and murder suicide style uh, crash out. This story is just getting started because I'm not too familiar with Michigan's laws there, but I got a feeling that this is going to be a high profile case. It's going to be a high profile trial. It's going to be a high profile everything in the state of Michigan because up there in Michigan, Big Blue is everything. If you're either Michigan State. There's nothing in between. You can say I went to Eastern Washington. You guys pick Michigan State, but yeah, this is ridiculous. This is so crazy. I can't believe something like this. Well, I can't believe that something like this happens because you look at the history of coaching antics that where they coaches were caught messing with staffers, unprofessional relationship with staffers. The list is long. Let me go look at a quick search for coaching scandals in college football. Let's do a quick little Google search and see what that brings us up here. The So it's going in order. We had Sharon Moore, obviously, most recently fired for inappropriate relationship. Mel Tucker at Michigan State. What is going on in Michigan? Uh, fired after engaging in a sexual relationship with now activist and rape survivor, which he described as consensual but violated university policy. Michigan cyber scandal where they were caught cheating, taping. Look at Penn State with Jerry Sandusky. That is self-explanatory for those who know. SMU's death penalty in the 80s, where they decided to pay all their players under the table, which led to the modern day era of NIL. Uh, George O'Leary with the failed resume. If you want to go like coaching sex scandals, to be more specific, I remember Bobby, Rick Pitino, Bobby Petrino, having affairs with staffers, but nothing compares to the assault level of what's going on with Sharon Moore. Let's see if we can find some other ones here. Yeah, Bobby Petrino in 2012 in Arkansas was fired after a motorcycle crash revealed that he was having an affair with a woman who worked with him and who he hired inappropriately. Hugh Freeze in 2017, after a scandal was made, he called escort service. Mike Price out of Alabama got caught, has consensual sex with two strippers. Yeah, these coaches. Whenever I would always hear the media talk about these athletes need to have more, control. That they need to be more, you know, they always talk about character problems with these athletes when they come out of college. Like, oh, he had caught with weed, and one time it's like, a college kid got caught with weed, get out of my face. Or, his kid, he did this kid did that. But these coaches, now that, there's more of an eye on them because they are some of the highest paid employees in each state. These head coaches, there's more eyes on them. There's more people keeping a check on them, telling them that, hey, you just can't sweep this under the rug. But my conspiracy note on my end, I would say that possibly had Michigan gone on undefeated, beat Ohio State, won the Big Ten. They probably would have let Hugh Freeze. I'm a Hugh Freeze. My name's right in front of me. They probably would let Sharon Moore stay, but the whole assault charges, which what put over top, they're like, okay, we can't handle this anymore. We can't take this anymore. He's fired. Yeah, he's fired. Cause because he was having sex with an unofficial relationship with a staffer, versus them just being like mad that Jim Harbaugh put in his contract that Sherrod Moore is his self-appointed successor, which another problem with college sports and coaching in general. The whole successor, why does he get the job? I guess because you say so. Screw off, man. But We're going to talk more about this later, as because this is just way too crazy for anyone to wrap their heads around in a short 15-minute segment. So, but when we come back, we're going to talk some positive stuff here on the Voice Maryland Live with the Voice of College Football. I am your host, Charles Young. Like I said, you can follow me at Charles Young, CharlesNyong across all social media platforms. When we come back, we are going to be talking about Maryland recruits right here on Maryland Terrapins Live at the Voice of College Football.
College football is even more exciting when you've got some action on the line, and the games are even better when you're cashing in. And the Voice of College Football is the place to be to get the greatest value. Start with my picks. 75% against the money line, 58% against the spread, and I've got a 40-plus year track record. 11-0 in the college football playoff for me last year against the money line, 8-3 against the spread. And I'm just the warm-up act. Steve Merrill of Wager Talk is our ace in the hole, show stopper. 7 years with the Voice of College Football, over 30 years in the industry. Steve gives us analysis on all the big games, but you can't miss Steve's weekly under-the-radar pick. 28-12 against the spread the last 3 years. You also get picks from some of our top analysts here at the Voice of College Football, including Corey Bratta, Matt Zemek, and Steve Dace. Check out those numbers. Become a YouTube or Patreon member for just $99 per month. Go to the main channel on YouTube, click join, and then select a betting tier. Do the same thing on Patreon. Make 2025 a winner now.
Make 2025 a winner now. If you do have a problem with gambling, 1-800-GAMBLER is your way out. Like I said, remember, if you have a problem with gambling, 1-800-GAMBLER to get you the help that you need. All right, next, let's talk a little bit about the Maryland recruiting class. I believe that this Maryland recruiting class is one of the reasons why Coach Loxley still has his job, because he was able to secure 17 stars to sign an early commit, led by five-star edge rushing recruit Zion Ellie from St. Francis Academy out of Baltimore, Maryland. And then the other 16 are three-star recruits who are highly rated at their position. If we wanted to take a quick trip down the recruiting pipeline here, let's see if we can get something here. Oops, wrong button. Let's bring up the Maryland recruits. I just had it. Now, of course, my internet decides to want to act up today and not load correctly. But I want to talk about Zion Ellie, who was the at his position at edge rusher, the top recruit out of in the nation this year. I believe he was 9th overall, first in his position, first in the state. And my internet is acting crazy today, so forgive me if I am having some lags here. Ellie turned down notable schools such as Alabama, Auburn, South Carolina, and Florida State. It appears that St. Francis Academy is going to become another pipeline school for athletes to come to the University of Maryland, with three of those recruits coming from that school this season. Maryland does continue to focus on recruiting local and then spreading out. I've always said that the best schools, best sport athletic programs keep their best athletes home and then bring in some of the best stars from across the way. And if Maryland can start doing that, that might be a good way to start building a nice, I guess we should say, a nice foundation of local talent, and sprinkle in with the transfer portal and recruits from outside the state. You can't go wrong with that. Maryland does have 7 of its recruits are from Maryland, 2 from DC, 2 from Virginia, covering the DMV, and Maryland also reached out to players from Pennsylvania, which is bordering Maryland. So you cannot leave out Pennsylvania when it comes to recruiting class. Ohio, which is not far away, Georgia, and Texas. A couple of recruits that got my eye that I'm very interested in seeing is Jaden Kitchens, who's a 6'2.5", 190-pound wide receiver, and Josiah Tinsley, who's also 6'5", 190 pounds, both out of the St. James in Springfield, Virginia. The St. James was a very powerful school this year. They eventually went 8-1 this year, one of the top 10 teams in the nation. Both these players are 3-star recruits. coming from St. James. And like I said, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with these two guys as they'll be taking over in the wide receiver room after the team lost Jaleel Farouk, Shalik Knox, and Octavian Smith, who are all seniors graduating. By the way, congratulations to those kids who had a nice career here at the University of Maryland. Farouk did transfer in here for his last season of eligibility. He had a productive year. Knox, who was a big play guy, Octavian Smith, who's also had solid year here. Congratulations to those three for having a successful year at Maryland. And now we have to talk about these two guys coming in who are going to be primary targets for Malik Washington moving forward. We have, like I said, the 6'5", 190-pound Josiah Teasley. He is the 110th ranked wide receiver, 16th in Virginia, according to 24/7 Sports, 88 overall ranking. If you want to see, we have some highlights of him here. Hopefully my internet will load up and we can actually watch it. But he actually originally committed to UVA and decided, he said, nah, I'm good. I'm going to go to Maryland. He left his home state and said, nah, I'm good. I'm going to Maryland. I don't want to play for UVA, even though UVA did have one heck of a season and probably would have been a nice fit for him. But these Maryland recruits are going to be very integral and moving forward if Coach Loxley will be coaching past 2026, 2027, because this year at 4-8 is not going to cut it when it comes to trying to compete and possibly keep getting some of these top recruits in, keep getting some of these 3, 4, 5-star recruits who can help build your team. Let me go back to the recruiting home here. Trying to find some more information about these guys, which I had. Like I said, my internet seems to be acting up, which is annoying. Let me go here. Power player rankings. And my internet is decided, my computer decided to stop working. You gotta love that. You gotta love how computers, they go, you spend all this money on these things, and yet they somehow just don't work when you want them to. But let's talk a little bit about the transfer portal as well when it comes to this kind of goes back to Michigan as well. Like some of these players want to stay at Michigan because they signed up to play under Sharon Moore, and maybe some of these guys who see what's going on here is like, maybe we should go somewhere with a coach that's a little bit more ethical actions, and like someone like Coach Mike Loxley, who's not going to be caught, having illicit interactions with staffers. He's a good man. He knows to keep what's going on with that thing, and he knows he probably would be a better person who can teach the good way to live life. But when we come back, I'm going to talk a little bit more about recruiting, talk a little bit more about Sherrod Moore, and a little bit more about NIL and player play right here on Maryland Terrapins Live here on the Voice of College Football. I am your host, Charles Young. Like I said, you can follow me across social media at CHARLESNYONGA. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe this page to your friends and family all over the place in cyberspace. I was going to steal it from Mark. So like I said, please do us a favor here on the channel. Like, share, and subscribe for Maryland Terrapins Live, so this outlet can survive and potentially bring some more bread into our lives. Stay tuned.
College football is even more exciting when you've got some action on the line, and the games are even better when you're cashing in. And the Voice of College Football is the place to be to get the greatest value. Start with my picks. 75% against the money line, 58% against the spread, and I've got a 40-plus year track record. 11-0 in the college football playoff for me last year against the money line, 8-3 against the spread. And I'm just the warm-up act. Steve Merrill of Wager Talk is our ace in the hole, show stopper. 7 years with the Voice of College Football, over 30 years in the industry. Steve gives us analysis on all the big games, but you can't miss Steve's weekly under-the-radar pick. 28-12 against the spread the last 3 years. You also get picks from some of our top analysts here at the Voice of College Football, including Corey Bratta, Matt Zemek, and Steve Dace. Check out those numbers. Become a YouTube or Patreon member for just $99 per month. Go to the main channel on YouTube, click join, and then select the betting tier. Do the same thing on Patreon. Make 2025 a winner now.
Make 2025 a winner now. And if you do have problems with gambling, you can definitely call 1-800-GAMBLER, who has everything you need, all the tools you need to kick that gambling issue. Do not bet the house, do not bet the mortgage, do not bet the car, do not bet the kids' college fund. Try to stay within your means, but if you can't find a way to stay within your means, 1-800-GAMBLER is where you need to be. Now, I know I said I want to talk about a bit more about the recruiting, and I want to talk a little bit more about these coaches, et cetera. But how can I forget talking about the college football playoffs? Uh, 2025 bracket is interesting because the Big Ten and the SEC are represented well in the top four, along with the Big 12's winner of Big Ten. So we have Indiana, who ran the table undefeated, defeated Ohio State in the Big Ten championship game, is the number one seed. Ohio State, who was the number one team all season until the last game, is the two seed. Uh, and then the three seed is going to be the SEC champion Georgia Bulldogs. And the fourth seed is the Big 12 champion Texas Tech Red Raiders. Now we have the first round, which put a lot of people's panties in a bunch with what happened and how it was laid out. So they go to the what you call it, the selections Saturday, Sunday, wherever it was, a show for the college football playoff was trying to copy the magic or the draw you get for college for a selection Sunday on the NCAA tournament basketball team, but it was not as dramatic, not as you see that little team that who gets the last spot and how excited they are. You did see that with Tulane and James Madison, who are the 11th and 12th seed respectively. But as you look at the first round matchups, the fifth seed was Oregon, another Big Ten team. Still weird saying Oregon in the Big Ten because they are on the Pacific Coast. Big Ten was always to be, for most of my life, has been Midwest at best. See, I'm rhyming today. But now you add in Washington, Oregon, USC, UCLA. But I digress. They were picked as the fifth seed. Okay, no shock there, no outrage. Ole Miss, has their own issues with coaching, but that's a show for another day. I can have a whole 2-hour session about Lane Kiffin and how much I do not like that Bama, but I digress. But I want to still coach the old team. I'm paying like, no, go home. Go. You went to LSU. You don't get to coach this team anymore. You chose to move on. But I digress again. Ole Miss gets the sixth seed. The seventh seed is A&M, who had one heck of a year most of the year and faltered down the end, but still got in as at large. The eighth seed, this is where things got a little interesting. Oklahoma, who was, I believe, they had the best record in the Big 12. No, sorry, they are also an SEC team. Excuse me, I forgot they moved to SEC. Oklahoma versus Alabama. Alabama has 3 losses. Yes, Alabama had 3 losses, and they somehow made it into the tournament after getting boat raced, like getting mollywopped after getting, you know, pantsed by Georgia in the SEC championship. They still get rewarded for being Alabama and getting in there as the 9 seed. And then this where things got interesting. The 10 seed, Miami, did not finish did not play in the ACC championship game, but the ACC championship game went to Duke, who's a 5-loss team who will not get that automatic bid because UVA choked away their automatic bid into the college football playoff. So okay, that makes sense. Okay, the relationship between the ACC and ESPN is well and noticed. So you can probably say they played some favoritism towards Miami getting them in. Okay, but yeah, Miami got in. They were the ACC representative in this tournament. And then you have 11, Tulane, who the Green Wave, who what's our conference again? Excuse me, it escapes me right now. the American Conference. Tulane was 11-2, 7-1 overall. A two-loss mid-major team might not may seem a little excessive, but what can you do? They won. It was them the rules, them the rules. And then 12 was James Madison, and I have a soft spot in my heart for JMU because that's where I went to college the first time. I grew up in that area. Madison, James Madison fighting dudes with JMU. So I got to root for somebody because my Terps ain't making it. Uh, but they are the 12 seed, and a lot of people talking about how they don't deserve it. These teams don't deserve it. They're not the top best. It's like then I always feel like then what's the point of having all these conferences in Division One if they're not going to have an opportunity to compete for the national championship? And it's like the big tournament, the basketball tournament. You know, do you think all 65 teams, 66, 68 teams have a chance to win? No, but you put them on the court, and you see what happens. You never know until this clock strikes zero at the end of the game who is the better team. So everyone's talking about, Madison's 2,200 favorites. They're all underdogs. Well, who knows? You never know. You never know until they play the game. Like I said, you have teams who are, allegedly better than didn't win your games. If you're the best team, win your games. That's the only way. Only thing you have control over is to win your games, and that way you will shut everybody else up about you in the tournament, not being in the tournament or being out of the tournament. Like I said, it doesn't matter. Win your games. You don't have anything to cry about because Notre Dame took their ball and went home. Saying we're not playing in the bowl game because we made the tournament. Man, play somebody, get in the conference. You're in the ACC conference, you're in the Big Ten conference for some sports, but football, he's like, no, we have to be our own separate entity. We cannot be part of anybody else because we are Notre Dame. We have touchdown Jesus. We're important. We're more important than anybody else in football. But you haven't won anything in decades. Every time you do get opportunity to play in that big game, you get mollywopped, you get smoked, you get pants, you get beaten, you get the brakes ran off you last time against who we played Georgia. I think you played Georgia, yeah, or was it Ohio State? I can't remember. But yeah, you play every time you play in the big game. In my lifetime, you've always been destroyed in those big games. You've always playing your ride on the we're uh, Notre Dame thing, but you realize the fact that that don't matter in today's ball. You got to win. And these teams, all except for Alabama, Alabama's the one team I think should not be in, but I think they should be in more over in than Notre Dame because Notre Dame didn't play anybody. You play all the service academies, even though Navy did have a great year. You play Boston College, you play all your Catholic school teams, and you talk about your John, you talk about your Psalms, your John 3:16. College football 3:16 says you're not playing in the playoffs. But I digress. But when we come back, I'm gonna get a little bit more into recruiting, college coaching, and NIL right after this.
College football is even more exciting when you've got some action on the line, and the games are even better when you're cashing in. And the Voice of College Football is the place to be to get the greatest value. Start with my picks: 75% against the money line, 58% against the spread, and I've got a 40-plus year track record. 11-0 in the college football playoff for me last year against the money line, 8-3 against the spread. And I'm just the warm-up act. Steve Merrill of Wager Talk is our ace in the hole, show stopper. 7 years with the Voice of College Football, over 30 years in the industry. Steve gives us analysis on all the big games, but you can't miss Steve's weekly under-the-radar pick. 28-12 against the spread the last 3 years. You also get picks from some of our top analysts here at the Voice of College Football, including Corey Bratta, Matt Zemek, and Steve Dace. Check out those numbers. Become a YouTube or Patreon member for just $99 per month. Go to the main channel on YouTube, click join, and then select the betting tier. Do the same thing on Patreon. Make 2025 a winner now.
And make 2025 a winner now. But if you do have that gambling problem, please feel free to call 1-800-GAMBLER. Do not bet the house. Do not bet the car. Do not bet anything you cannot afford to lose. Do not bet the kids' college fund. Do not bet your life savings. But if you have issues with gambling, 1-800-GAMBLER is where you need to be. Okay. Now, let's talk about my final thoughts of today's episode of Maryland Terrapins Live here on the Voice of College Football. I am your host, Charles Yonga. You can follow me across the board on all cyberspace and all over the place at Charleston, CharlesNYonga. That is CharlesNYonga. Like I said here, I wanted to talk a little bit about my final thoughts, and that is coaching in the college, the NIL, and how all of these things work together, and how most people should just know your role and shut up because you don't know what you're talking about, because this is big business. And if you don't know how to run a big business, you should keep your big mouth shut. By kid, I don't know how to run a big business, but this is my take what I see from these people. Um, Coaches are making 6, 7 figures to be alleged, a amateur coach. uh, Kirby Smart, Kalen DeBoer, Lane Kiffin, making well over $10 million. And you have like your lower tier cats, your G5 coaches, they're making anywhere from like 1 to 5 million. You have coaches who are signing these long term deals who are getting fired for underperformance and still getting paid. You have you know coaches leaving from one place to the other, and like a Mayflower truck in the middle of the night. Oh, I'm here to coach these kids, and I am here for them. I will be like an extension of the family watching your child perform you become a greater person. While on the other hand, you're just oh, while on the other hand, you're just looking for the next opportunity. That's like to run out the back door, to run somewhere else, to be like, hey, oh, there's more money over here. Bye. I'm see you later. But yeah, these coaches are making a short amount of money, but when it comes to the players and the kids who want to transfer, who want to better themselves, who see like, oh, this is not the best situation for me. Maybe I should go somewhere else. You have these pundits online talk about, is there no loyalty? Is there no commitment? Does your word not mean anything? You put in, you sign, and you're supposed to. If you can't make the starting roster, you gotta work harder. Well, maybe it's not that simple. Maybe it's the fact that the coaches have a vendetta. Maybe it's the fact that the coaches, want to play their favors and not actually give everyone a fair shot. Tell me a job where you've gone to, you feel like I'm not getting the opportunity I feel. I want to try somewhere else. No one's saying, "Hey, why you want to quit? Just work harder. Just go. Just do it better. Just do it better." No, you say, "Oh, that makes sense. Oh, I understand why you want to go somewhere else. I wish you the best." Um, but yeah, and then you have like these NIL deals, the transfer portal, these coaches leaving, for whatever reason, more money somewhere else, getting arrested. It's it's these players have to have the right to move and protect themselves in the transfer portal. Now, could there be ways to tweak the transfer portal? Of course. You don't want them transferring like 3 times in one year. But if someone feels like they don't feel comfortable where they are for whatever reasons and they want to leave, just let them go. That's I understand why that is an issue, why that is a problem. Um, I want to talk about a little bit here. So if you look at, I want to break it down here. Where was it here? CBS Sports. This is a little bit dated, but the some of the money here. SEC coaches average 8.1 million salary, and I think that's just active. That's not including all the coaches who are fired and they have buyouts in their contracts. That's a lot of That's a lot of money. Um, CDC was SEC average Big Ten is 6.8, average ACC is 5.8, and average Big 12 is 5.9. Forcing me 4.9. That is a lot of money to invest in someone who basically is just like say your highest paid state employee. Why can't a teacher get some of that money? Why can't why can't the production crew who put these games together, to make everybody look great? Why can't some of the scouts and some of the players under, the coaches underneath who are helping collect all the information, all the data, so the coaches make the right decisions while they see a little bit more money? And like for example, Jimbo Fisher was fired from A&M during his sixth season. He was worth over $75 million in buyout. I think he had about a fully $95 million contract he signed in 2021, the largest buyout in college football history. Uh, that's That's ridiculous. And then you have guys like Dan Lanning, 6 years, 45 million. These guys are just making ridiculous amounts of money to be. Some of them making more better money than the pro coaches, like, and you get less scrutiny. Like, why would you go? Why would you go to the pros where your career can be over in a year, 2, 3 years, when you can get at least 5, 6 years at, well, if you got the right connections, 5, 6 years, 7 years at a college coach, and not have to win anything. So, but on that note, I wanted to call it an evening. Like I said, this has been Maryland Terrapins Live here on the Voice of College Football. I am your host, Charles Younger. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to keep this channel alive. And feel free to follow me across all social media platforms. That's at Charles Younger. That's CharlesNyonga. And we will talk more about this Michigan head coaching situation and who they have to replace Sharon Moore. We have to talk more about the recruiting process here around as we get more information of some of the transfer portal and more late signing recruits. And hopefully next week, Mark will be back with us as we get into the quiet part of the college football season. We'll talk a little bit, probably talk a little basketball. We'll probably talk a little bit of other Maryland sports, elsewhere Maryland sports, just to keep, the knowledge alive about what we're doing here at the Voice of College Football. Like I said, I am Charles Younger. That's CharlesNyonga across all over the place and in cyberspace on social media. And feel free to, like I said, share, and subscribe this page and the voice of collegefootball.com. So thanks again. Have a great night. Take care. We'll see you next week and have a great one. Peace.